In this video, you're going to learn 6 tips that you can use to calm your nerves going into a game. Hey there, I'm Eli Straw, mental performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. Now before we get into the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're an athlete looking to improve your mindset. I put out new videos each day on sports psychology and mental training. Now when you get really nervous going into a game, this can have a negative impact on your performance. But it's also very important to remember that nerves are not always bad. Nerves can make you more focused. They can lead to you feeling a little bit more motivated, and they can also increase your performance if they're used in a healthy way. But a lot of times what happens is athletes get nervous, and then this nervousness turns into performance anxiety. And performance anxiety, where you're worried too much about what's going to happen, I really want to do well, I can't mess up, that's going to lower your performance. So all in all, it's a very good idea for you to be able to use some skills to reduce your nerves going into a game. And so tip number 1 is you want to accept your nervousness. This is a very interesting one because it involves what we're focusing on. Whenever an athlete is feeling nervous before a game, and those nerves actually lower their performance because maybe they lead to performance anxiety, that is because they are focusing too much on the nerves. I was working with an athlete who ended up getting anxious about being anxious because he knew that when I get anxious, so when I feel this extreme sense of nervousness, I perform badly. So whenever you have those feelings, it's easy to begin worrying so much about them and to really focus on them. But what we want to do is accept our nerves and then focus on something else. Because you can't will your nerves away, and by focusing on them, you're only increasing the attention given to them, and that's only going to make them worse. So tip number 1 is as you go into a game, you just want to accept your nerves. Say, yes, I know that you're here, it's okay, but now what else can I be focused on? What can I focus on instead of focusing on my nerves? Tip number 2 is to prepare. When you know that you tend to get nervous going into a game, you have to really work hard and make sure that you are as prepared as you can be for that performance. This means being as prepared as you can be physically, so you've done as much preparation as you can, but this also means being prepared mentally. So this means using a pregame routine to get yourself into the right mindset to be able to perform. The more prepared you are, the more confident you're going to feel. The more confident you feel, the less nervous you're going to feel going into a performance. Tip number 3 is to remember past successes. This goes off of what I just said about the more confident you feel, the less nervous you're going to feel. Before a game, if you're focused on your nerves and you're focused on your anxiety, you're probably not thinking about how well you've done recently. What we can do by remembering some past successes is get your mind focused on you doing well. A lot of times when you're nervous too, you start to think, I don't want to mess up. So then the picture that you have in your mind is of you messing up. Once again, we want to change that. We want to make it of you succeeding, and that's where remembering past successes can really come in handy. What you can do is just simply remember all the times you've done well recently. This can be in practices, and this can also be in games. You can go back to last week, or you can go back to last year. The principal idea is you want to be flooding your mind with memories and images of you performing well rather than thinking about how you don't want to make a mistake. Tip number 4 is to practice some gratitude. If you are honestly focused on just how thankful you are to play that day, how happy you are to be able to get out there and spend the time with your teammates, how grateful you are for the opportunity to be on the team and compete, if you were thinking about all those things, I really doubt you would be feeling as nervous and experiencing some anxiety. So what you can do before a game or before a performance, if you're feeling a lot of nerves, is start reminding yourself of all that you're thankful for. I know that can seem a little corny even at times, but it works really, really well with reducing your nerves because you're no longer focusing on your nerves. And you're also focusing on just how grateful you are to be there. And instead of thinking about what's going to happen, how's the performance going to turn out, you start to think a little bit more about just the act of playing. Tip number 5 is you want to turn to your breath. So whenever you start to get nervous or you start to feel a little bit of anxiety, what happens to your breathing? If you're like most athletes, what's going to happen is you start to take really shallow breaths, right? By focusing on your breathing, you can force yourself to take deeper breaths. So taking deep breaths, that in and of itself is going to help calm you down. But what also happens from a focus standpoint is that when you start to take deep breaths, you automatically turn your attention onto your breath. And so if you're focused more on your breathing, you're not going to be focused so much on what's going to happen in the game. And so once again, we see your focus being changed, which is going to help reduce those nerves. And tip number 6 really goes off of that, and that is to choose a focus point. You want to make sure that you're controlling your focus as you go into a game, and especially before the game, because if you focus on your nerves, that's going to increase your nerves. If you focus on not doing well, that's going to make you feel more nervous. So when I say choose a focus point, I mean choose a focus point that is part of the process that is going to help you perform well, but also is not thinking about the outcome, not thinking about what's going to happen. So for you, this may mean that you're going to focus on your mindset. You're going to say, I'm going to focus on really feeling confident and enjoying myself during the game. Or you may say that your focus point is going to be something mechanical, some kind of physical cue that helps you perform. But the important thing is you're setting a focus point for yourself so that you're not focused so much on the outcome, and you're especially not focused so much on the fact that you're feeling nervous. So those are the 6 tips that you can use as an athlete to calm your nerves going into a performance. Now, I don't encourage you to use all 6 of them at once, but I encourage you to choose maybe 1 or 2 and try to apply them for a few games. If they aren't working very well, go back and choose maybe 1 or 2 more. But the important thing is you want to make sure that you're applying these tools consistently. If you just say, I want to take some deeper breaths, that's not going to do anything. But if you actively apply the strategy of taking deep breaths and focusing on your breathing as you go into a game, for example, that's going to then work to reduce your nerves. So it is the application of these tips where you're really going to see the reduction in your nervousness as you start a game. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you're interested in learning more about one-on-one mental performance coaching, head over to successstartswithin.com.